Hello, welcome. My name is Alisha from New Earth Children, and I'm super excited today to be sharing this space with a beautiful cosmic galactic goddess, soul sister. I'm here with Lorinda Rainwater, and I'll just do a little bit of an intro from my connection, personal connection, and then we'll get you to share a little bit about yourself. But in the beginning of my pregnancy journey, obviously not knowing what to expect and trying to navigate a very, very difficult path, I was doing as much research as I possibly could, trying to find people who were like me. And I don't even know how I found you. I think it was on YouTube, and I think it was an interview that you did. And that was back in, I think, around 2016 or 2017. And Lorinda was so pivotal in my journey in who I am and what I'm doing today. She really helped give me codes to help understand myself and my journey better. And so this feels so a really proud and important and exciting moment to bring you on here, to sit down and have a conversation and just see where we unfold. So thank you, Lorinda, and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So maybe just to start off, for people, I'm sure that some of the people watching this would be familiar with you, and I'm sure that there'll be some people who may not know you. Do you want to give like an introduction, just a background of like who you are, I mean, and what you do and where you're located in the world?
I'm in Oregon. And yeah, just basically what you said, like, I'm just everything spiritual, galactic. I'm a Mayan white galactic dog. So that very much describes me. I just came into the world this way. Of course, books have helped and have helped me develop, but I didn't read a book to become spiritual and then become spiritual. No judgment. Yeah. But I just came into this world like this is just who I am. I've been asked before, can you turn that off? It's no. You can't control these things, you can't.
There's no off button.
Yeah. So, but, in terms of this subject, because I'm a lot of things, do a lot of things, but I have experienced, which is the video that you saw, a cryptic pregnancy. At the time, I didn't even, I didn't know what to call it either. The place you were at when you were searching for stuff. That interview was actually set up to talk about my Venus birth, an unassisted birth. Yeah. And then, I had written a book, which at the time with my first cryptic pregnancy, and it was my 5th pregnancy. And it was the first pregnancy that I had that I thought, because it was just a hunch at first, I think I'm pregnant. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep a journal, and hi, I think I might be pregnant. And I didn't know that, that was a download into my higher self. You need to scribe this experience. So it ended up culminating in what was termed and given to me as a Venus birth. And it was unassisted and just amazing. Only 2 hours and, only half an hour of hard labor, where my other 4 births averaged 7 hours hard labor. So, but also in that experience was the cryptic pregnancy. But, there I was at this interview, promoting my book, but just wanting to, just prepared to talk about the Venus birth and unassisted. And then all of a sudden she says, oh, I was reading up on unassisted births, and they said that sometimes they have longer gestational periods. How long were you pregnant? And you could see, I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't prepared for this question. And then because I just thought people would read the book and, and it would be for unassisted birth and that kind of stuff. And then the cryptic pregnancy or the longer gestational period, just slide that in. Because except for the people that my close, family and my husband at the time, like I didn't talk about that. Like, even though I trusted my process and I knew that I was pregnant for 17 months, I felt crazy speaking about it.
Yeah.
So I didn't, but I did on that interview. And then now I know why. Because I wasn't to be the first one. It's a phenomenon.
Oh, that just gives me so much. I've just a lot of energy coming in as you're saying that. And I really see you so much as one of the original way showers in this. And I'm so glad that you had that awkward moment, back then and spoke about it, because the ripple effect and planting the seed, I mean, I would have never found you. And then the flow on effect of what you've, been able to support other women in the work that you do. And then what was to come for many other women. So it's so incredible when you look back and you can see that. And I think it was that part for me. It was one of the parts that really changed and really supported me, because I was beyond 9 months at that point, and thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I need a time frame. And not knowing what to expect, that's when I went searching, and then we connected. And when you said to me, this could go on for years, I'll be honest with you, I had a meltdown at that point. And then there was a level of comfort that I've just got to continue on, And so I guess that's my very long-winded way of saying eternally grateful. So
yeah, well, I can take some of the credit, but much better than me. I am definitely a channel for all this. With my first cryptic pregnancy of 17 months, I did actually think that I was in control of that, because I did come into this world, and now I know why. It makes sense. Just completely obsessed with babies. Having babies, birth, pregnancy. The pregnancy. And, at 4 years old, I was hounding my mom, and, she even said to the pediatrician, what do I do? She's 4 years old. I wasn't prepared to have the birds and the bees conversation with her. And so he was like, oh, get her this book. And it's where do I come from? And, it's cartoons, and the mom and the dad are, under the covers in the bed. So I'm like, okay, I have to wait to be an adult. And so, I got it. But so with the first pregnancy going so long, I really thought it was because of my sheer, law of attraction and all this stuff, that I thought it was my sheer love of pregnancy.
Oh,
I really did. And then when it came to my second cryptic pregnancy, that's when, God, the universe, was like, no, you're not controlling this. It's definitely bigger than you.
Yeah. Wow. Oh.
Yeah. And I mean, it's happening to just thousands of us. And, for me, and how I the only framework that I really, really have to and it's not even Western. So, but, I feel like if I were to explain this, give some type of framework, context, to explain to just anybody, spiritual or not, or wherever they're from, is actually, the yin and the yang. And it's like that circle with the black and the white, the black being the feminine, the black being, the black represents like the void, mystery, cryptic, the unknown. So that's woman. That's what we do. And so, you know, and cryptic pregnancy, it's in the law books, like back in the 17th century or something. I don't know. I don't know if you know that.
What's that? Can you share a bit if you
Yeah,
remember?
I just know that it came up because, say, like, a woman was pregnant and then her man had to go away, whatever, for work or something, and then he comes back and she's still pregnant, and he's like, what happened to my baby, and whose baby is that? And so, yeah, it ended up being in the court system, and then it ended up, you know, I don't know how they did the testing back then, the DNA or whatever, but they ended up proving that that was his child. And so, you know, yeah, so it's happened before, and why it's happening now, you know, that's why I want to put your brain too. Like, I know I figured out some things, you know, and I've been guided, which is my whole journey, even up to this, you know, like, I've never gone to a doctor. I don't go to doctors for pregnancy. I don't see it as an illness. So, like, I've always had midwives. I've always had home births. So I've had this certain already movement to my life that, you know, makes me see, and my downloads are, you know, about the birth process and about, you know, there's been movies out there. I think one is like Birth as a Business, and, you know, that school of thought, that's, you know, that's what it's about for me. It's we're taking the power back, you know, women. We're here for. And, you know, and for me, it's like, I'm having a hard time connecting with the cryptic pregnancy, because, you know, they come to me and it's like, the doctors won't, you know, they tell me this, and it's like, I can't relate to that because I don't go to doctors for confirmation. You know, I trust my body. There's there's life in me there, you know, and so I'm not looking to somebody outside of myself to validate. But I think that there are a lot that are caught there, which for me, I'm more into home birth, unassisted birth. You know, I'm like, our like preparation for birth, like, just, you're pregnant and let's, you know, start preparing for birth.
Yeah.
And get your body ready and get your mind ready. And, you know, that's where I want to work with the women, but they're just stuck on, they want that confirmation. And that's not what this is about.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Music to my ears and my heart. I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm so glad that you're passionate and working in that space. And I've had similar observations and feelings around it myself. And I think I came to my own conclusion that this journey is about your own awakening and ascension as much as it is of bringing these high vibrational children in. And it's about trusting with unwavering faith in your body, in your process, without external validation. Because I think that's the only way we can change the paradigm and get the power back to where we're moving. But in some ways, I call it like the ancient ways returning. And so I have so many questions. Yeah,
that is you know, the one point that I would like, you know, to definitely put out there is that the birth canal is very short. It is made to be very efficient, babies are meant to move through it very, very fast. However, I don't know how much we can say, because we're like on YouTube and not Patreon or something like that. But, talking about this is what brought it up for me, talking about bringing the power back to women. Like, we are born to give birth. We know how to do that. If we're just left to ourselves, like the Indians that go and squat by a tree, they've learned that because of that birth canal. You just stay upright or squat or something like that, and that baby comes out. But what happens to women? They go to the hospital, they're put on their backs. So I'm like self-taught a lot, and so I don't even know how to pronounce this word, but it's SUPPINE. So supine, that's the position that they put you in on your back. And the definition, I don't know verbatim, but it basically is like rendering helpless or something like that. I mean, it's like all out there in plain sight. But no one's, asking these questions. So they're rendered helpless. You go in there and you're put on your back, and then, your body can't do what it's supposed to do. And then it even stops and shuts down. And then they have to induce labor or C-section. And, that's not natural.
No, I guess it goes, I mean, we won't go too far down the rabbit holes, but it goes with the whole inversion concept of everything in this 3D paradigm.
Yeah. That's why I'm excited to talk with you. That's what I'm saying, on the level, Yeah. But how to reach the others.
Yeah. And I think I often see it as, I have all these concepts and theories that I kind of work from in the way that my mind thinks. And it was like, someone's awakening process, you go from like the 3D space and you sort of transcend consciousness and energy embodiment, and there is that in-between space where you're unlearning. So I think perhaps in regards to the women in the cryptic that are really needing the external validation, it's part of their process, which I think that we have a choice of how fast we want to transition through that phase. And I think that there's help and support for people through that unlearning phase to get into the next level of their own evolution. I don't know.
That's a beautiful thought. That's a beautiful thought. Right. They have their own angels. Yeah.
And I think they come across information, hopefully, this might spark something, at the right time. And, there are things that are put in our path, just like you were put in my path. And, we can have all those, it's all very interconnected.
Yeah.
I want to backtrack just a little bit, because this is one thing that's always been on my mind. When I think about you, I think about Venus birth. And I don't want to try and quote you because I'll mess it up, but just around the connection and the origins that you have around Venus and that process of why the name Venus birth was given to you. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I definitely have a very strong connection with Venus. However, I don't even think I knew about it until that experience. Besides loving, the color pink and flowers and stuff like that. But I write it in my book, in my series. The second one is called You're Having a Venus Birth. And so I'm having the unassisted, and the cryptic pregnancy, which I was 7 months overdue. And then, like the last week of it, before I gave birth, I started dilating. And so slowly. So I dilated for like a week. And during that time, it was very psychedelic. You know, it was very otherworldly what I was feeling. And then when I was going to sleep that night, I was, and I think I write about this too. It was orgasmic, you know, so waves were going through my body, and and then when I would sleep at night, I was having dreams every night. And now I know that it's called light language. At that time, I knew it was a language from somewhere else. And, you know, I just kept on like, I don't know if in the dream I was saying it, or like the next day while I'm awake, like, what are you saying? I can't understand you. And so it just kept on going on. And then finally, like I think the night before I gave birth, I heard in English, you're having a Venus birth. And this is how we give birth on Venus. And so Venus is the planet of pleasure as opposed to pain, which is, you know, like I said, when I was slowly dilating, because, you know, what I was feeling in my body, like if I pushed on it, just like making love, you know, if I, and which I was helping myself also dilate and open. So I was pushing on it, and it was, you know, like I was making love while I was opening. And there's a great book. It's called Spiritual Midwifery. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it. I have heard of it.
So she has a quote that it's the love that got the baby in that gets the baby out. So during labor, you know, she will encourage the man to, you know, love on her, kiss on her, you know, even suck her nipples, like that gets labor going, because it's the same, you know. So when you let it happen naturally, and you don't have all these other fears, anxieties, preconceived ideas, you know, which all that was out the window for me. So I was able to host that download. But it's, you know, it's for everybody. But I think that's why in my series, the first book is like, it's called Supernova, My Spiritual Love Journal. And it's like in chapters. So there's one chapter on tarot, there's one chapter on astrology, numerology. Like it's just basically like a spiritual practice, like what I was doing, which put me into the right frequency and bandwidth, you know, where I could receive that. So you do, you know, and that's why it's like, it's hard for me to work with these women as well, because I want them to have a Venus birth and I want them to have a home birth and all this kind of stuff. But I can't just say, yeah, you know, birth at home, because there's so much in a birth and there's so much attached to the woman in terms of her karma, which could be from this life and past lives, which you can work with. And that's why we have the grace of God and Goddess. You know, you can receive grace no matter what, but you do still need to meet God halfway and things that, you know, you need to do. But, you know, it's like, I can't just tell somebody, yeah, go have a Venus birth. You know, you have to be like spiritually fit. You have to do the work. And I think that's the hard, you know, I have a hard time working with women because they're just looking for somebody, you know, it's like they're drowning and they're just looking for someone to throw them, you know, a floater, you know, something where they can float. And it's like, no, you know, you have to, just like you said, it's a personal journey of ascension or whatever you want to call it. But this is what we're all called to do, which is to be self-responsible.
Yeah.
And so, you know, really, like, I was doing work and, putting it out there and stuff like that, I feel like to no avail. However, after COVID, my Soul Cryptic page, where I promote home birth and people are like, it's a crazy lady, got like overnight, like almost 300 hits.
Wow. That says a lot.
Yeah, because the hospitals, oh my God. So yeah, that's when I started to get a little bit more attention, but people don't want to do that work. They don't want to be responsible, really.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you shared all that. Like, I'm picking apart, like there's so many things going on in my head. But before I go into it, for those who want to connect with Lorinda, I will put your website and details in the description box. So, your website has the details to all your books. So I highly recommend people to connect and have, get your books. And if it resonates, to learn more about it and to connect with you, and the great work that you do.
Thank you.
Mind is about to explode right now. I think I think we might even do a series if that's okay with you, because I feel like I could talk to you for hours. And
yeah.
But to me, all of it, I guess, because my work, I do a lot of energetic work, whereas I haven't given physical birth yet. That's why I think you're amazing in the knowledge and the experiences that you've had to support and share with people from a different perspective, where mine is more about, I guess, the energy and the healing and aligning and stuff like that. And I truly see from my own, I can speak from my own experience, and what I know with working with others is the shedding and the unraveling of to bring these children through, because they hold such a high frequency. The amount of karmic releasing, intergenerational patterning, belief systems, like it's a full overhaul of the mother's vessel, or I should say the parents. I mean, depends on the individual's, journey and what their circumstances are. But I can honestly say that on this journey, everything that I thought I knew got thrown out the window pretty fast. And the levels of healing is deep, and it is necessary. And I don't know if you would share this thought with me, but I truly came to my own conclusion that until I have done the level of healing required, I won't be able to birth these children into the physical. Like, that was a prerequisite that was loud and clear to me, because I went through the struggle of like scrambling and like, someone give me the quick fix. I need help here, someone. And then I realized it came back, so does that resonate, or have you come across like similar conclusions in your mind around that healing process and being able to be that vessel?
Yeah, I didn't with the first one, 17 months. And, to most people, that's like, wow. But now that I'm pregnant, almost 8 years, that was like nothing. Like, right. I didn't get overwhelmed. It was never open-ended. So like, because that was just my concern. Like, I don't want to give birth in the grocery store, so like, you got to give me something. And so my spirits would give me what I call a due date clue.
Yes.
So sometimes they were like a month out, sometimes 2 months out. And so I was fine. I was completely fine with it. I got a little bit challenged, like with the last due date clue, because I usually give birth like in the wee hours. So when I woke up at like 9 a.m. or whatever, I was like, all right, I've had enough, and I got a little upset, and I was like, okay, I went outside and I meditated, and the meditation was like amazing, because that triggered my ego. So my ego was like, who do you think you are? And my higher self kicked right in and was like a girl that's figuring it out. And so like, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm figuring it out. So I just went back to my life and I, you know, just took care of my kids and everything was normal. And we ate dinner and had our family movie. And I was like, all right, I'm going to come meditate. And it was like 9 at night and I sat down, and as soon as I went into meditation, I got a contraction. Or actually, Ina May from Spiritual Midwifery calls them rushes. So that's a great way to describe what it feels. So I got a rush and didn't get another one till 9:30. And yeah, she was born 11:47 that night. So yeah, so it was never opened, and so I never got overwhelmed or, you know, anything like that. So it wasn't, I was already, you know, spiritually developed. And but with this one, yeah, it's exactly what you have described.
And you just went like level up, next level.
Yeah, which you know, I was even told in terms of like ascension and the information that I was getting, you know, separate from Cryptic Pregnancy, you know, just for the world and everything as a light worker, was that even like, yeah, the world's awakening and all this kind of stuff, but it was like even the ones that are spiritually developed and so-called awake are going to be waking up. And, you know, I read that and it's just like, but yeah, I have remembered that and remembered that and remembered that. It's like, whoa, that was no joke, but it keeps on going. And I couldn't be more grateful. Is, you know, as difficult as it is sometimes. And, you know, I have felt like I was at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
Like many times with these ascension symptoms. But after I go through it, you know, I'm seeing orbs everywhere. I'm, you know, seeing auras, you know, like seeing the crystal grid, like things are coming online like never before. Like I'm seeing results. So, you know, that keeps me going.
Yeah. I totally echo everything you've just said. So I'd love you to share from your vantage point. Like you mentioned that this current pregnancy is 8 years in. I'm currently 6 years in. I know I have my understanding of the process, but I would love to hear your understanding of the process from all perspectives, really. I guess the spiritual, the soul, the energetics, and the camera. Oh, yep. No, we're good.
Yeah. It's saying
Yeah.
my is low.
Oh, okay. Can you plug it in or hang on? I'll pause.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, for me, I definitely feel that, yeah, the timing is just perfect. Like I have not been wishing to have given birth last year or the year before. I totally see things in my life that were going on, like a divorce, that, you know, I'm like, I don't want to bring this child into this. Like I completely recognize that, and you know, you want that for every child, but sometimes the soul chooses you know, a broken home or whatever, especially if you're indigo, to give you things that you need to develop yourself and your strength. But that's not what these children are about. They need very, very high vibrational homes and parents, which is why we're going through what we're going through.
Hmm. I couldn't agree
Absolutely.
more.
And
Yeah.
even at the beginning of this pregnancy, because I have learned that, and even before cause I told you, I just have been obsessed with pregnancy. So always reading books. And so I did come across something that said that the older you are, the more intelligent your children are. And so, you know, that was just back in my mind. And with my firstborn, she was like, I don't know, 3 or something. And, you know, I walk into a room or whatever, and she's there, you know, doing a sun salutation pose, you know. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, my yoga. And I'm like, even though I have, you know, I do yoga and I have taught it, I'm like, who taught you that? And she was like, I don't know. And so I realized at that moment, like, she just from coming from me, like she comes into the world, you know, knowing what I already know, like I passed that on. So at the beginning of this pregnancy, and, you know, a little bit before, like everything was galactic. Like I've always been into the stars and I've always been into astrology and like, but things went very galactic. And so, you know, even at the beginning, I was like, wow, like this, I am really interested in seeing this child, because all this stuff that I've been learning. And now, 8 years later, whoa, like they're gonna be like levitating or something, you know, they're gonna be like glowworms. They're gonna be so, so bright.
Yeah. Wow. I love hearing you say that. And I couldn't agree more. And I was like, I get excited because that's exactly what happened to me. Like before my conception, everything went super galactic. Um, and my life got tipped upside down like that, you know. So
Yeah,
there's definitely, I love when there's interweaving correlations, and little
yeah,
aha moments and normalization. You know, I'm big on
yeah,
normalizing these things. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
beautiful to hear you say that. And I'd love to know your take on like how the soul enters in. Like what would you like to share about like the energetic component of how the soul, the energy of these beautiful beings come in, and how the the physicalization process happens is kind of how I talk about it.
Oh, during the pregnancy?
Yeah, like I mean, I guess people really struggled, including myself, you know, to get your linear mind or 3D mind around the non-linear pregnancy process or gestation period. So I'd love you to share a little bit about your insights and experience on the 8 years of what you've been through and how you understand it from coming from galactic, non-physical, you know, other planetary into the body, into the womb, and then, well, I guess we don't know because you haven't got to that part yet with this particular child, but do you have anything that you could share on how you understand the process of these beings coming into form and being birthed, and why, I guess, why the soul chooses to come in and out throughout, um, you know, the length of time.
Yeah, well, the soul doesn't attach to the body until it takes its first breath.
Mhm.
So during the pregnancy, the soul goes in and out. And why be trapped in a body? You don't have to be, and you can travel the universe, you know? So, and for me, and when the baby does come, because the baby loves to feel the welcoming, you know, from the mom and the dad. And So it will come in the body, and then that's what it's like, the energy on top of energy, the soul on top of soul, that gives the woman that glow, that extra glow that she has. It's because she, you know, actually has more than her usual energy. The soul is, that's what it is. It's a force of energy. And so for me, yeah, I can feel when the baby, like I'm feeling it right now. Yeah, I mean, there's times where, I mean, I'm always aware that I'm pregnant. There's, you know, certain things that I can't do, certain dance moves that I can't do because, yeah, I feel the child, I'm with child. But I'm not always eating for two. I am right now. So that's when I can tell that the baby is also visiting or growing. My pregnancy is very different though, you know, even compared, and every pregnancy is different. That's another thing that I learned in my studies. So, you know, there's a lot of women that say, oh, I had a C-section, so I'm always going to have a C-section, and that's not true, which is why there's VBACs, vaginal birth after cesarean. So, but yeah, every pregnancy is different. So, oh, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, okay, that's where I was going with that. This pregnancy, I am not, but I don't even know, you know, how far along I am, but there are a lot of women that are in our position, and they're very large. They're very, very big. And so I don't know, you know, how they feel it, but I'm not always eating for two. But like I said, I am right now. So I have to have like bananas on hand, or, you know, food prepared, because once the hunger comes on and baby is growing and baby is here and needs to eat, like, no, it's not going to be fun to cook and, you know, prepare food. So right now I am like, I have food prepared so I can just eat right when I can't need to. And yeah, there are times and moments where, like I said, when I was just talking about, and I'm still feeling the baby too. I can feel the force, I can feel the soul, and it's like, okay, yeah, you know, okay, I am pregnant, you know. And then there's other moments where it's just like, God, I haven't felt a movement at all. You know, I'm going in deep meditation and I'm speaking with baby and connecting, and no little flutters, no kicks or anything. But then I'll sneeze and it's like, you know, it'll get me, and then like something is, you know, an elbow or something is sticking out, and it's like, oh, you know, okay. But yeah, the soul, I've never in all my pregnancies experienced that, the in and out so much, because there's times where it's like I don't have much of a belly, and then all of a sudden the soul comes in and the physical as well. Now that's, you know, that's the stuff where if I didn't have Eastern philosophy under my belt to help me wrap my brain around that part of this, that there's physical and then there's not. So, but I like reading, I don't know if it was autobiography of a yogi. Yeah. Yogananda. I think it was in his book where, you know, they just talk about like in India, it's no big thing for a guru to just like materialize, you know, from out of nowhere and then go away. And, you know, so that's what helps me in those moments where it's like, okay. And sometimes the baby comes in, and because of my frame size, it is such a shock to my body when it comes in, because it's not like just the gradual and normal pregnancy, that it'll throw out my back. So but I haven't had that for a while. And right now, and the other thing too is I've had periods in this 8 years where it was like a year where I didn't feel anything, no movement, nothing. However, I still, there's still something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can, by my connection with the spirits, and I'm like, is everything okay? They're like, yep. I'm like, okay. So I just keep on going. And, really, there's something just recently that I saw, and I made a post that it's like, play while you wait. And that's, that is basically my, what the spirits have been saying the whole time. So that's what I've been doing. And, so I don't even really focus on the cryptic pregnancy, that much, because I'm just like, okay. But now, and so this is just like such perfect timing, because I don't know if it was December or January, but I had a huge growth spurt, and it wasn't a disappearing act. Like, it's here, it stayed, it's growth, and things are picking up. I'm eating right now, like I said, and it's going like right to my boobs, like I'm making milk. So I'm like, oh, okay, things are really picking up. Yeah. So, I might get to meet my baby this year. Yeah. And now I'm like this because, if it was at any other point to right now, that's why I'm not, shaking my fist at God or whatever, because I know that I'm not even ready. And that seems like so weird because it's been like 8 years, but I've had a lot of stuff go on, and now is a really great time. And so, baby's here, this is happening, and then we get in touch and this is happening. So it's like, okay, things are starting to pick up and happen. And I think that, it's kind of, I'm glad that we're talking about this right now because of what's going on in the world. It's like, it's a little scary. However, if these babies, if things are picking up here, which is the light, then, and if they're coming, then that means there's probably a lot more safety in the works and going on behind the scenes that, we're aware of, because they're protected. They're highly, highly protected. I'm highly, highly protected. Everything that is going on in my life is completely, highly protected by the divine. But however, it's, it's weird because in the outside world, it's like I'm really up against things. And, to the point that, being made out to be crazy, whatever. And it's just like, it doesn't matter to me, because if I do anything other than what I'm doing and I don't, follow orders, obey, my guidance, what's going on, I'd lose everything. I would absolutely, so I'm protected as long as I'm protecting this baby and, this path and this ascension and like all this kind of stuff. And so it doesn't matter if I'm all alone, which I am, but I'm not. I'm so protected. I am so, like, I get so much spiritual help and connecting more than I ever have. And that's because I've, basically cut out anything. And if you're not supportive of this, then I can't mess with it.
Yeah.
this is, you know, this is what I'm here for.
I'm speechless. Just everything you said, I can't echo, and just the light. Just to go back and touch on what you said about, you know, I've also noticed the dramatic ramp up since December in my own process and how
Wow.
yeah. So to hear that from you, and I do hear it from clients and women that I connect with, and I think it's beautiful to have that vantage point, to be able to see a very unique perspective of where the world's heading that not many people would have, you know, that insight. Because I don't know about you, but when I first went through this conception, I mean, the downloads were insane. The dreams were just wild, you know. And I always knew there was a couple of key things that I knew to look for that would be key signifiers to know that time was close to give birth. and I think one even, you know, logical conclusion is these children aren't here to be birthed during the chaos. They're meant to come when things have stabilized, even if it's a little bit, to bring the light, to help uplift humanity and this planet. So I think the waiting game, when you, that's always helped, that's a perspective that's always helped me in the hard times of like, well, look at the bigger picture, Alisha, look at the world, like touching on things that you were saying. Do you really want to have children right now while things are just, you know, it's not the right time? And work on the things that you can change and transform, because there's things that you can do, and there's things completely in divine timing that and just to hear you talk
in the meantime.
And I love that, you know, play that. Yeah, I love that. I hope that people can take that as a takeaway, because I know I am going to take that as a take.
Yeah, you know, I had a woman message me yesterday, and you know, the thoughts that were in her head, I was just like, and the questions that she was asking me, you know, I was kind of making light of it, but it was true. I just, you know, wrote back, you know, those are the questions that will keep you up at night. You know, like you need to relax, you know, like meditation, which is, you know, for everything, not just cryptic pregnancy, but, you know, in this world, we're programmed with that, you know, monkey mind and busy brain. And, you know, that's, and I said to her, like, you know, relax, because the stress produces hormones that are not good for your baby, you know? So if you relax, if you meditate and play while you're waiting, that produces different hormones, which are good for your baby. And, you know, it was like, I couldn't, you know, just the questions kept on coming, and it, you know, like the word relax just made, you know, they don't know how, or, you know, it was really like, she didn't hear me.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like with, and I notice in communication and levels of perception or consciousness, sometimes it's it doesn't connect.
It's a big, huge gap, and I don't know how to bridge that. You know, I have a book, Beautiful Bridge Between the Harmony, but it's mostly like parenting, and, you know, once the baby gets here. But yeah, I'm having a difficult time.
I think we'll talk off camera. I've written some notes. I think I have some ideas. So I think connecting to you, there's more than just this recording, and hopefully we'll do many others, but I do have some ideas around that. Okay. As a matter of fact, I think I've written a whole course in the time that your we recorded one part, and the second part, just because of some technical issues, and in that interim I wrote a whole heap of stuff, but we'll come back to that. And, you know, keep an eye out for those who might be interested. Maybe we'll have something up and running hopefully soon. But
that's what I, you know, hope to get from this.
Well, I think now,
yeah.
I think the importance and the urgency and the acceleration in how things are unfolding right now as we speak, you know, end of March 2022. I think it's important that people like yourself, you know, like other people that I'm connected to, and I'm sure you're connected to, coming together, that unity, the different abilities and gifts and knowledge and wisdom.
You're the only one. You're the only one for me.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Like I'm just out here all alone.
Well, you're not anymore. We're connected. We're going to build this.
That's right. I connected with you, and then there was one other woman that contacted me, and I don't know if she knows you, but she was spiritual and galactic, and understood where I was at. But yeah.
Well, I think it's hard, and I found, at least when we connected, which was quite a few years ago, I had to pull away from the cryptic pregnancy community because it just, I found the frustrations and the limitations, and nothing to those women, but it just, I think because of the nature of how I conceived, which was what people would term immaculate. I didn't have physical, sexual intercourse. There was a lot of very otherworldly things that took place around my conception, which I think gave me the vantage point of expect the unexpected. This is so out of the realm of what your human knows. And so I think I needed to find the resonance of someone who understood the galactic and the spiritual, and it's very hard to come by, or at least it was for me back then.
It is. That's why I was so excited for this. And I don't mind doing it alone. That's, really what this is all about as well. And even my experience with my first cryptic pregnancy, and I write about it in my journal, going through that just really brought me to feel like the first woman ever, because I had no one in front of me except for the women in the caves, the first women. And so I did, for myself, I became the first woman. And it was very, it's very cool. Yeah. So, I'm okay with that. And I understand that. But of course, I'm a social creature, I'm a lone wolf, but, also like pack animals. So, this is a huge blessing for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I definitely feel the same way. It's, it's gone out of my head. I was going to say something. I apologize to you and everyone watching, because I'm not firing normally, because this is quite an emotional moment for me to be able to. I just realized that the first, you talked a little back about the clue due dates or birthing dates, and I understand what you mean, because I've had so many of them. And they come and they go, and it's been an emotional roller coaster. Well, at least it was in the first few years for me, until I learned to surrender and just go, you know what, just keep going on with my life, and one day it will actualize. And my very first clue date was yesterday, 6 years ago, and it just dawned on me right now.
Wow. And I think that, and I haven't received a due date clue and all that, and I didn't even, I haven't even asked for it. But I think I got one today. So, wow. So this is exciting. This is good, because like we said, if this is happening like this year and at this time, then that shows where our world is headed, and it's a very good place. So that means, I don't know if you know, you follow things. No, you do. I think I've seen it on your IG, Cosmic Gateway, like the event and things
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that makes me think like, wow,
yeah.
like it's coming, like it's here.
I think so. The very first dream that I had, that I gave birth, I actually, that was my first event dream, and I was I was shown that I gave birth in and around the time of the event, interchangeably the solar flash, and that energy had to hit the planet to assist with my birth.
Wow. Wow. And you know, like as a light worker, as starseeds, we've been prepped for this in terms of, and we've been facing, you know, our shadows and our demons and, you know, all this stuff for lifetimes, to prepare for this and to go through it so that when it happens en masse, we can be there to be like, no, it's okay, you know, like you're going through this, and to help them. Imagine if our children are here with their, you know, goo goo gaga and, you know, and all their brightness and all their smiles and all their laughter and their light and their love and their, I mean, their eyes, you know, they're going to be like,
It's the
beautiful.
eye.
Yeah, they're going to be like, you know, crystals. And so, yeah, maybe they're going to be crucial in helping humanity to relax and play, you know, while they wait, and to be in a state of love rather than fear.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe just looking into our children's eyes will deprogram them.
I've never considered that, but yeah, you're right. Wow.
Yeah. Just one look, you know, it's like a picture is worth 1,000 words. Maybe it's just the look.
You know what? I'm going to share something just in relation to that, because I've been aware that activation codes come through the eyes of light workers or star seeds. That can be a way of transmitting code or information. And I think more as I've gone on my journey, and I'd be interested to know if you're the same. I know that when people look in my eyes, things happen, right? And I'm very conscientious of that sometimes I can be really bad at making eye contact with people deliberately, because I can feel the energy coming through, and like, whoa, that's going to just activate the crap out of that person. I'm not sure they're ready for it. So I'll just be like, I'll look, and then I'll be like,
soul that you know is ready.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, exactly. And my latest ascension symptoms have been in the eye area for a while.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to share this because it just came through as we're talking. I wonder if our intense ascension symptoms, like say what you just said, like around the eye, I wonder if simultaneously as you're having an upgrade on your eyes, that's formulating your babies. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like there's this. Yeah.
I definitely believe that. You know, because even in a normal pregnancy, what happens during when the baby's in the womb is just as crucial, you know, which is why I'm like, relax, you know, to the cryptic pregnant women, because, you know, I just see them as like chickens with their heads cut off. And I feel for them. I mean, there's some that are very young, you know, and this is their first pregnancy. And, you know, like, yeah, But if they're not of the mindset, like, okay, like, I'm gonna figure this out, I'm gonna do this, I'm going to, even just eat well and take care of my body, and just do what a pregnant woman does. It's not going to hurt you.
Right.
At the end of it. I saw this one picture of a baby that had all kinds of tubes and everything, and it was a cryptic pregnant woman and was not getting the confirmation from the doctors, so she just continued to party or whatever. And and her baby, I don't even know if the baby made it. And it just broke my heart, because, like, why don't you trust your body? It's your body, so.
Wow, you have such a wealth of expertise and information that is teaching me a lot, because obviously you've had different types of pregnancy and gone through the birth at least in this lifetime. I haven't yet. So I just can't thank you enough.
And I'm here for you. Yeah.
Vice versa.
Thank you.
We'll wrap up shortly, and I think we'll come back and we'll do part 2 and however many more we need to do, because this is just beginning of some amazing collaboration conversations. But just to give people context, like I truly believe, and I know that there's so many out there that maybe don't fully understand their process, or are silenced by that, but I do think that you were definitely on the cutting edge of being one of the first, potentially, at this time now. When was your first cryptic how old is your child now?
She'll be 14 in May.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. And she's, like, I'd say normal in a lot of ways, but of course she's heard about this, and she does say that she remembers being in there for a really long time. Like, she has some awareness that she was like, this is, maybe from past lives of being in a womb before. She's like, no, this one's different.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that much. But she was born in 2008.
Okay. Interesting. Because when I was I call it analyzing data, and I was kind of observing all these different groups, because that's kind of how I work. I wanted to see if there were correlations, and from what I could gather just on seeing all the women's stories and people I connected with, that there seemed to be an increase, an influx around 2012 for cryptic pregnancies. And I think there's been a steady incline in unique pregnancies since 2012. So when I look at the Earth's process, because I always kind of correlate, the Earth and the our individual process, I should say. And I think that's really interesting that we kind of went through, what some would call the end of the Mayan calendar phase, where we all, I don't know if you did, but we all thought that the world was going to end, and then rebirth and all these magical things, and levitating spontaneously, and well, at least that's what I thought of 2012. But but that was really, in hindsight, I think that was the beginning of this phase that we're in, that potentially we're in completion of.
Yeah.
And I just look at the correlation, how many women seem to be having an increase in cryptic or different types of pregnancy in that time frame. I find all that very fascinating. I love the big picture stuff. Have you had any sort of thoughts around, like, the increase? Because you mentioned during COVID your website got hit up significantly. So do you think that there's been, like, this big surge of souls wanting to come in?
Yeah. Yeah. exactly.
Yeah.
And like all over the world,
Mm.
you know, so it's like we're being placed all over the world. And yeah, you know, it's like you're taking me, you know, big picture out there, and it's just like, wow, you know, when this does like happen, more than it's already happening, and you know, then we're all here, and yeah, and just the way that we're all around the world. And so, you know, I'm affecting these people around me, and you're affecting these people around you, and what that's going to do, you know, because we're defying like so much. But like I said, like cryptic, like it ought to not be so like, whoa. This is the first pregnancy it stopped since, but in the beginning, I was still bleeding. So it was the first pregnancy that I've had where my monthly didn't stop. And so, you know, the spirits were like, telling me I was pregnant thing, you know, it was like, was getting a little skeptical. So I Googled, or I think the spirits were like, just Google, you know, do some women continue to bleed during pregnancy? And the first article that came up was a doctor just going on and on and on and on of reasons why it absolutely could not happen. And then then pages and pages and pages of women saying that it happened to them, and it happened to their mother, and it happened to their grandmother. And so I was like, oh, okay. But I mean, that's what, like I said, that first article. So it's like, there's so many people out there that are like, no, this is how a woman is. And there's no deviation from that. No, you get pregnant, and, you know, for 9 months, you know, 40 weeks. And, you know, if it's 1 week after that, then, you know, we take the baby out. And it's just like, you guys aren't God.
No. Pure and simple. Yeah.
And so maybe that's what this is all about as well.
I definitely think so.
Maybe God and Goddess are taking their power back.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, not that they ever lost it, but they're stepping up, you know.
Oh yeah.
Divine intervention or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're a part of it, you know, are the ones that you know, are willing to host this. Yeah.
It's a big job, but it's worth it. I always remind myself and other people, sometimes on a regular, you know, it's not for the faint-hearted, but oh my goodness, like what we're contributing to here that affects not just humanity, but the cosmos is inconceivable to our human minds, what we're in the midst of right now.
Yeah. Exactly. And so that's why it's like, there's a lot of women that are, they're, you know, getting together a case, and when they have their baby, you know, they're going to sue the doctors, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that. And, you know, the spirits are like, don't play the blame game.
Yeah.
And so when, you know, people are like, oh, or shaking their fist at God, or, you know, God is unfair. And it's just like, I can't relate at all. Like, I'm not upset with God. Like, no, like something really amazing and beautiful is happening. This is a miracle. This is nothing to me to be mad about. I just, you know, I can't relate. I'm not looking to blame God or anybody for this. I am, you know, yeah, I want to kiss my baby and meet my baby and, you know, all that, and have another Venus birth. And, you know, I love giving birth. And that's another thing that I want to say in preparation for labor and Venus birth and everything. And I've had all my births with no drugs. So I feel them all.
Wow.
And always said, even before I ever got pregnant and studying everything, I don't want to have drugs. I want to feel my baby's bones. I don't know why I used to just say that. I want to feel my baby's bones. And it's, you know, very fast, but I do. Something like I register, I feel the head, the nose, that like just everything. And it's, you know, it's like in the most sensitive area, and it's a bonding moment. And I always say, and I always think after I give birth, like, oh, it's the best feeling. It's the best. And yet the women are drugged, you know, and by the way, it's only the generation, it's only once we started drugging the women during childbirth that their babies and the babies subsequent generations after that have problems with drugs. Because what you're teaching the baby at that moment is it's not okay to feel that life is scary. And so you got to take drugs. And it's like, oh my God, no, it feels so good. It feels so good. And it's such a connecting. And when you take the drugs, you block the hormone that actually bonds you to your baby.
Wow.
So, and not to mention, you know, the hospital procedures and all that, you know, which is all what all this is about. And, you know, where I really am passionate about and where I feel like, you know, it's my piece of the puzzle.
It certainly is. And I'm feeling all that energy behind your passion and your service and the empowerment of your experience and how I feel inspired right now, you know, just hearing you speak about it, where I'll be honest, like I've had terrible fear about giving birth. And I've had to work through a lot of that. And I think I'm still working through that, you know.
Well, I used to be very afraid of death, you know, and I like just thoughts, you know, just random thoughts of stuff. And I'm like, oh, and after going through my first pregnancy, you know, you have to face, you know, women die during childbirth. So, you know, you kind of, even in a normal pregnancy, you face that. And it, you know, was going through my first pregnancy and then going through with no drugs and all that, it cured that. I'm not afraid of death anymore. I'm not afraid of a car accident. You know, I used to, oh my God, if I get in a car accident, and then how long is it going to be before the ambulance comes? And then I'm going to be in so much pain. And now that I've gone through childbirth and I've, you know, with the meditation and where I go in that space that I go to manage the so-called pain or whatever, I have no more fear of pain. You know, wow. I don't even look at Jesus on the cross and go like, oh my God, because I know that like, no, like he wasn't feeling pain, not for long.
It's super transcending these experiences in these children who completely, you know, purify fears, human fears, and you know, it's
all the programs.
Yeah, all the programs. Oh my goodness, Lorinda, I want to talk to you forever, but
I know.
And we will in segments.
I knew it was going to be like this.
Yeah, me too. But before we wrap up, obviously I'll put links in the description box where people can connect with you directly. But do you want to share a little bit about like what you offer if people do reach out, like how you assist people if they wish to connect with you? Because I know that you have so many different expertise in what you offer. Do you want to just share a little bit about what you can offer in support of others if they connect with you?
Yeah, well, I used to do readings, and I never, you know, ever had a dream to be a tarot reader. Yeah, it's something that I could do. It's something that was a resource. And so it was something that like I did for money, not just because of money, and you know, but yeah. And so, and then being a housewife when I was married, and then being at home, you know, I did it to help my husband, you know, support us. But once all that got turned upside down and whatever in my whole life as well, yeah, I pretty much laid that to rest and I'm going for things that like I'm really here for. And basically, you know, me getting into tarot and all that kind of stuff was just for my life. So I could work on my dreams. So I don't really do readings for anybody, but I do still keep that open. I will work with a cryptic pregnant woman. And so, yeah, so in that area, like soul coaching, just across the board, you know, what.
Yeah, it's really hard to put into language sometimes, isn't it? What you can bring to people in that. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so I mean, I could help them prepare for anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, true healers and way showers I always use this term that true healers and way showers don't go to a weekend workshop and become a healer or a way shower. It comes through the experience and sometimes lifetimes of experience, and you certainly have so much soul experience, human experience, galactic experience. So I'm have no doubt that if people resonate with you and connect with you, you'll be able to help support them and empower them on their journey of pregnancy and becoming the inner goddess, which I think you embody so well. You really are divine feminine embodied. So thank you so much for sharing.
This is another journey, right?
Wow, yeah, right.
And thank you. You too. You too. I love your channel, your IG channel. It's really helped me out a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, we're going to come back and we're going to do this again. So I just want to thank everyone for watching. I hope that you've had some light bulb moments. And yeah, thank you, Lorinda, and we'll be connecting soon.
Thank you.
Yeah,
all right.
Just much love. Bye.
Much love. Bye.